Over the past 25 years that Hugh Jackman has been playing Wolverine, Hugh and his trainers have perfected a training and diet strategy that, when used properly, can transform anyone's body into that of a huge, jacked man. This strategy is very simple, but there are a few key concepts that you're going to need to understand if you want to get the best possible results in the shortest amount of time. And stick around, because at the end of the video, I'll be giving you a full program based off of Hugh's training so that you can use his transformation strategy yourself. Here are the two phases of this strategy, as laid out by Hugh Jackman's personal trainer David Kingsbury in a recent interview. The goal of phase 1 is to build as much muscle as possible. This is done by first putting Hugh in a caloric surplus, which means giving him slightly more calories than his body needs, so that extra fuel can be turned into muscle mass. But of course, if you don't give the body a reason to build that muscle, all this extra fuel will just be stored as fat. And that's why during this phase of training, Hugh will be lifting weights 4 days a week, typically following an upper-lower training split, where there'll be 2 workouts a week focusing on the upper body and 2 focusing on training the lower body. Since there are different ways to stimulate muscle growth in the body, Hugh's trainer will sometimes vary the way Hugh is training on certain days.
Training in there might look at doing 2 of the sessions a little bit heavier, and then the two of the sessions a little bit more high rep, a bit more like a bit more mechanical tension, and then a bit more metabolic stress on the higher rep stuff.
So Hugh's trainer will have him go heavier on one of each of the lower body and the upper body days, with more of a focus on doing sets of 6 to 8 reps on big compound movements like barbell deadlifts, Bulgarian split squats, RDLs, and barbell bench presses. And then on the other lower and upper days, Hugh will take a higher volume approach and use more machines and isolation style movements like chest supported machine rows, hack squats, leg extensions, and dips, which will all be done in the 8 to 15 rep range. Of course, no matter what the rep range is, Hugh will always be training hard and close to failure, because we know that muscle growth is best stimulated when you push most of your sets between 0 to 3 reps of muscular failure. And I'm sure you know that to build muscle, you need to constantly increase the difficulty of your training. This is known as progressive overload, or
train harder than last time.
Typically, people will apply progressive overload to their training by slowly increasing the amount of weight they're lifting week to week, which is completely fine, but there's been a ton of research coming out over the past decade that shows that the more sets you do per muscle group per week, the more muscle you're going to build. Put simply, the average person will build bigger pecs if they do 10 sets of bench press per week than if they did 8 sets per week. On average, more sets equals more muscle. That's definitely an oversimplification, but you get the idea. This is exactly why, as the Wolverine training program I've developed for this video goes on, you'll not only be lifting heavier, but you'll also be doing more total sets per week at the end of the program than you'll be doing at the beginning. This approach will enhance the muscle building effect of the program and deliver results much faster than simply increasing the weights lifted alone. Since the primary goal of Hugh Jackman's training program is to achieve a lean, muscular physique, it's crucial that Hugh doesn't gain excessive amounts of fat during the muscle building phase. Gaining too much fat would extend the time needed for phase 2, where he has to shred fat, and given the tight deadlines to get into Wolverine shape for filming, accumulating excess fat is not an option. So to avoid unwanted fat gain, Hugh's trainer will ensure he only consumes slightly more calories than his body requires each day, typically in excess of 300 to 500 calories over his maintenance level each day. You could also refer to this as a 300 to 500 daily calorie surplus. Now, if you're struggling to gain muscle, or if you find yourself gaining too much fat while trying to bulk up, I have a recommendation that could make a big difference. Take a look at this digital diet coaching app called MacroFactor. By using my special affiliate code Demers, you can get access to a 2-week free trial. And this app goes way beyond basic tracking. It uses your personal stats to precisely guide you on exactly what and how much you need to be eating to gain muscle efficiently without packing on unnecessary fat. For years, I always struggled to gain any real amounts of muscle, always hitting roadblocks, until I started using MacroFactor. Since then, I've noticed a significant improvement in my results. It's definitely worth checking out if you're facing similar challenges. So click the link below and use code DEMERS to get your 2-week free trial. Now, the duration of Hugh's muscle building phase has varied throughout his career, but for someone who's new to training for muscle growth, spending 12 to 16 weeks in that phase is considered ideal. This time frame allows you to build a significant amount of muscle, while also giving you time to get accustomed to this new way of training. So once Hugh has built all the necessary muscle, it's time for him to transition to phase 2, the fat loss phase. During this phase, his training will largely remain the same as in phase 1, but with 3 major differences. First, the total number of weightlifting sets he performs each week will decrease slightly. In this phase, his goal is shifted from building muscle to maintaining the muscle that he gained in phase 1, and to get this maintenance effect, it requires less sets per week. Second, he'll incorporate more low-intensity steady-state cardio throughout the week. While the exact amount may vary, For those following along, I'd recommend doing 2 to 3 cardio sessions per week, each lasting about 20 to 30 minutes to aid with the fat loss. In terms of intensity, you should be sweating and breathing heavy, but you should be able to maintain a conversation while performing your cardio. The third and most crucial change is that Hugh will adjust his caloric intake from being 300 to 500 calories above maintenance to 300 to 500 calories below maintenance. And when you eat below your maintenance calories, your body is forced to make up for this energy deficit by burning body fat. The duration of phase 2, the fat loss phase, will vary based on how much Hugh needs to trim down for his role. But for the average person aiming to get ripped, I recommend a fat loss phase of about 12 to 16 weeks. The goal should be to lose approximately 0.75% of your overall body mass per week. This pace might seem a little bit slow to you, but attempting to lose fat too quickly often results in significant muscle loss and intense hunger and cravings. These challenges can make it extremely difficult to stick with your fat loss plan long enough to actually achieve a ripped Wolverine physique. If you ever feel like losing fat is a confusing, constant uphill battle against hunger and cravings, then I've got something just for you. I've put together a video outlining an incredibly simple 3-step process that makes losing fat easy, painless, and straightforward. So start by downloading the free Wolverine training plan that I've created for you, based off of Hugh Jackman's training, which can be found in the description below. And then click here to watch that video next. Thanks for watching.